Hey, I'm Sarah from SMH Training, and I'm here today to talk about some wrist modifications and some exercises to help strengthen your wrists. So in the previous video I talked about some modifications you could use for work on your wrists if you got weak wrists or some injuries that you're coming back from. Today I'm going to talk mostly about exercises to help strengthen the wrists. But I did forget in the previous video to mention that any sort of plank that you're doing up on your hands can also be modified down onto your elbows, like this. Elbow plank, either on your knees or on your toes, is a great modification that can help you strengthen your core even if you've got wrist issues that you're wanted to throw that one in there quickly for you. So, moving on to today's topic, where we want to think about things we can do specifically to get extra strength back into the wrists. And if you really have wrist injuries or you're having pain during any of these things, you gotta, I'm not a PT, so you gotta make sure you get to see your medical provider or see a physical therapist to get some things that work specifically for you. But these are some things that you might also want to try. Always, of course, keeping in mind listening to your body and working within what's healthy for you. So this first one I'm going to suggest, you're going to want a dumbbell of some sort. This one's a 5-pound one. It's maybe even a little heavier than I would prefer. Something even lighter than this might be better. What we're looking to do is work the strength of the wrists in the curl and in this position, and also rotate it down, so in this position. So what this is, it's a lot like a bicep curl, but the only thing we're moving here is the hand, so we're using the flexion at the wrist. So for this first round, you're going to stabilize everything and try not to move the forearm at all, and flex the hand down and then curl it up as far as you're able. And it's really not that much range of motion, so these are really small curls, dropping down and opening up, and trying not to do much rotation with this. We're just trying to move the whole hand up and down. So you can do as many reps there as you are able until you wear out. Maybe, 10 to 15 to 20, depending on how easy this is and how much weight you're doing. Smooth the control, and then we rotate the whole thing over so that the palm is facing down, and we're going to take the hand bent down into this position and then roll it up as far as you're able. So we're curling it down and in, and then rolling it up. And again, we're going for smooth control here. And same idea, 10, 15, 20 of these at a time. Maybe something like 3 sets of 10 to 20. And of course, making sure you're doing that on both sides. Okay, so then, second one, these are some stretching exercises to help loosen up the joints. Of course, the wrist rolls are really good with closed hands and with open hands. If you're doing this, we want to go both directions. And then a nice strong stretch, pressing out through the palm of the hands, pulling back with the other hand on the finger. So I'm pulling back lightly, pressing forward through the palm of my hand, and then careful, check in with your shoulder and make sure it's not up by your ears. Drop your shoulder down and relax that. So pressing forward through the palm of the hand, drawing back lightly with the fingers. And breathe as you stretch here. So oftentimes our forearms end up getting really tight in our daily lives with a lot of gripping that we do. And these stretches can help loosen up the whole system so that the muscles in the wrist can function a little better. So we've got that stretch. This is a stretch and strengthening exercise. You want to bring the hand that's not working underneath and fold the fingers over it, and try to fold the fingers flat so they're like a flat plane, and then we're going to try to squeeze in on this hand. So squeezing in with the fingers flat. So I'm working the joints, the knuckles, this ring of knuckles, we're folding at that hinge point. And then we move up into the hand and fold at the joint that's in the middle of your fingers. So we're folding that over the hands and squeezing in. I hope you can see this well enough, and I'm explaining it clearly enough for it to make sense. And then we want to move forward one more to the last joint in your fingers and try to fold those in and squeeze as well. So a lot of the work in strengthening the wrists is actually work in strengthening the hands and increasing grip strength. So that's something to consider as you work here. Maybe you've seen those tools that you can buy that you practice squeezing. That can be something that's useful for working with wrist strength too. So we've got these 3 hinges that we want to work on squeezing and do both sides. And then next exercise is one we're going to go onto the floor in a tabletop position. So on all fours with your hands underneath your shoulders. Let me adjust this camera so you can actually see what's going on. Okay, so tabletop position, hands under your shoulders, and we're going to start by rocking forward and back. So just small motion rocking forward, so your shoulders are a little forward of your wrists, and now they're a little behind the wrists. So this is going to be different depending on how healthy your wrists are right now. Some people are going to be able to go really far forward, and that's going to feel okay, but for some people that's going to feel pretty painful. Just working some range of motion. And then we take the body in circles. So going in probably small circles to start out, and then maybe bigger circles if that feels healthy for your wrists. Trying to keep the hands pressing into the ground nice and strongly, but we're taking the body and the wrists in some gentle circles. Up to you how much weight you have in your hands for this. Let's switch directions. So make sure you're going both directions an equal amount. And you really are able to modify this if you scoot your knees in more and put more weight in your knees. It'll be easier and less intense. And that might be a good starting place. And as these wrists get stronger, you can think about walking the knees back more, or maybe even putting a lot of body weight on this. And that can be quite challenging on the wrists. So that's phase 1 of that exercise. The second phase for me is quite a bit more challenging. So I'm going to walk the knees in really close so I can do this without a lot of weight on your wrists. We're going to fold the palms up and fingers pointed back toward the knees. So the backs of my hands are on the ground. And we're going to do those same exercises starting front and back. We might not get much range of motion here because this tends to be really tight. So you might really want to start small and light with this pressure, but do try to even out the weight between the right and the left side. And then it's just nice and small rocking motions. Try the circles. Try those circles, just paying attention. How does it feel? We're looking for the place of challenge without pain. So a little bit of challenge, a little bit of stress on the system can be a good thing, often is a good thing. Too much stress leads to injury. So looking for that fine line between healthy stress and unhealthy stress. And that's going to be really different for different people. Okay, so there you go. Those are your exercises for today. Here's to healthy wrists. Lots of healthy movement in our lives. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.